What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to TPUSA Live. You know who I am. I'm Jon Root, and you definitely know who this is. Alex Clark, how you doing?
Salam and good evening, my worthy of friends.
I feel like that just goes along with that outfit.
It is a little Arabian Nights, getting my Aladdin on.
That is one of my favorite Disney movies.
Me too.
What's like your top three?
Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and I'm gonna go with probably Lion King.
Lion King's a good one. I think a Disney movie that doesn't get enough love, a Goofy movie.
A Goofy movie is very good.
It's so good. It's one of the best soundtracks out there. It's not like a Disney classic.
I like Mulan too a lot.
Ooh, so good. There's so many good Disney movies. Obviously, Disney needs to figure out their wokeness, and they need to figure out what's going on there in LA. They got a lot more to figure out in LA than just Disneyland. And
yeah, that's true.
We might break that down a little bit later in the show, but you know how we kick it off. We kick it off with Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec, and I'm telling you, he's got some bombshell news today. He's been the only guy to go to for all the inside sources and crazy news coming out of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
He said he's doing the entire show front to back only on this case because he's found out a bunch of stuff. So there was like a supermodel, big time supermodel coach, scout, whatever, in France who has now ties to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine.
Oh my goodness.
Right? How do you pronounce this guy's name?
I'm going to Ghislaine.
Yeah, but this guy,
Jean-Luc
Brunel.
We'll go with that.
Big deal. It's interesting because, you know, Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Les Wexner, the Victoria's Secret guy, and now you have this guy who does all the supermodel stuff for Europe, so this is a big deal. But he also is going to talk about today how Ghislaine believes her billionaire father was murdered.
My goodness. Just when you think it couldn't get any more wild, news like this comes out.
Yeah, and another Epstein victim says that it was actually Ghislaine who tortured and abused her. So what if it comes out, and Jack Posobiec is going to talk about this, but John, what if it comes out that really Ghislaine was the mastermind behind all this, and she was the one that was really the mastermind, not even Jeffrey?
Oh, how the tables have turned, because she started to play victim right off the bat, too, in this case. She just, feel bad for me. I was just under the thumb of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
No, it seems like she is turning into the villain that a lot of us really thought she was. And then Jack's going to break down all of that. That is the place to go to. And if for some reason you missed that, he's got a great podcast, Human Events Daily, so you can listen to that. And he's got millions of downloads. Jack is the man when it comes to the Maxwell trial. Right after that, sitting on the couch with a couple incredible people. We got Ellie Byrd. She's a TPUSA ambassador, first time on the show.
Yay.
And then Teisha Powell is back. She's the author, attorney, and also TPUSA ambassador.
Awesome.
And we're going over some great stuff like military mandates, talking about how there's some military members that are pushing back, but unfortunately deadlines have passed for some military members, and it's coming up for some, so it's a really dire situation for them, especially when we have the holidays and we're going into the new year. We got Professor Watchlist. We
Everyone's favorite.
got a couple brand new members. You are the worst, so you made the Professor Watchlist, that and so much more. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And don't be fooled by the rocks that he's got. I'm still Benny from the block. He's back.
Ooh, Benny's back, baby. You got to love that. You got to figure, also, it's hard to stay focused when you sing.
I'm sorry.
It's so good.
We gotta sing for Benny of the block.
You remind me of Parks and Rec.
It's very chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. It's really like I have to remind Charlie all the time. Like, Charlie, I'm not on crack cocaine. This is just naturally how I am.
We promise. We promise. I can definitely tell you that's not happening. Benny on the block. What he's breaking down though is what's the better state, Florida or New York? Benny, I think we know the answer.
Yeah, come on.
He gets some really funny answers from people on the street. Benny does a great job with that. And then we got some more Alex Clark. You got a brand new episode of POPlitics talking about Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. That's what I like to affectionately call him. And we're also going to be talking about the late night TV rankings. They've just, wokeism has killed late night TV. There's some a new update there as well. And all of this Kim Kardashian, well, she's pretty much responsible for like the decline of California, so.
And then my favorite and least favorite day of the week of POPlitics is the Sports Recrap. Because I think it's funny, and then it also triggers me somehow.
Well, in the Sports Recrap today, which normally happens yesterday, but I got my days confused, so it's coming out today. In Sports Recrap, we're talking about this transgender UPenn swimmer.
Yep. Yeah, we were covering that on the show yesterday too, and I can't wait to get your take on that.
Oh, I've got one.
Coming up next, we got Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec. I'll see you very soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard for today's Human Events Special, powered by Turning Point USA. This special is titled Ghislaine Maxwell Exposed. We're going to have 4 segments here. First, Epstein's Lolita Express photos have just been revealed in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. Next, Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and French model recruiter Jean-Luc Brunel will explain all of it. Third, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was her father and why does she believe that he was mysteriously murdered? And fourth, a new Epstein victim has come forward and stated that Ghislaine Maxwell tortured and abused me. All of this and more ahead, plus all of the breaking details in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Human Events Daily. Well, today, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial is continuing. We're also hearing the testimony for the first time in open court. One of the Epstein victims, her name, Annie Farmer, is taking this down. Now, the other victims have testified anonymously, Jane 1, Kate 1, et cetera, using pseudonyms. This one, Annie Farmer, she is taking her power back. She is coming forward, and she is coming forward publicly, naming herself. And she's been out there in the past before doing interviews, et cetera. But while many other Epstein victims, for example, Virginia Jeffery Roberts, have not testified in this case, we are today, this week, hearing testimony from Annie Farmer. But next up, we are going to talk about this massive treasure trove of photos that's been released. Some of the photos include the Lolita Express, but many of the photos, as we now know, the 20,000 that were kept behind by the FBI are still being kept out of evidence. So we only have to go on what we've been provided. We've given a slight, maybe 1%, the tip of the iceberg in terms of the 20,000 images that were recovered in the Epstein investigation by the FBI. First up, I want you to listen to actual testimony of Epstein during one of his depositions before he died.
Would you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Do you maintain any other residences presently?
I have vacation homes in New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, and Paris.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
What was the crime of which you were convicted?
2 counts, one soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
Did you in fact commit those acts?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution?
Same answer.
How many times have you solicited a minor for prostitution in the state of Florida?
Same answer.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution in the Virgin Islands?
Same answer.
Now, again, this is one of those episodes where, of course, if you're listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see these images, but I'll do my best to be able to describe them to you. Of course, I've said before many, many times, this case is not about an investigation. They are not telling us the truth of the Epstein network. What they are doing is covering it all up and making it out so that Ghislaine Maxwell will go away. I predict she will be convicted. I will be shocked if she's not, but we'll see. The case is wrapping up much quicker than anyone anticipated. Originally, they told us 6 weeks. Now it looks like it's going to be cut down to 2 weeks. It's probably going to be actually shorter when all said and done, shorter than the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So that everything that Ghislaine Maxwell was doing, everything that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, it's going to boil down to a 2-week case in the dead of winter, right before Christmas, when most people are checked out. And that's when the verdict will come in. Are you paying attention yet? These people know exactly what they're doing, and that's why James Comey's daughter is leading the prosecution. But we did get some photos released from the Southern District of New York, and we're going to go through those. First up, there is a photo released. Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. They're sitting on a porch in front of a log cabin. Well, people have noticed that that is the exact same log cabin that's owned by who? The Queen of England and the royal family. That's at Balmoral Estate. and they're sitting right on the same porch as Queen Elizabeth. Next up, a photo of Epstein's massage room. There's oils, there's lotions all over the place. It looks like something that you'd see in a seedy strip mall spa. This is the exact room where many of the women, including the accusers that came out in this case, stated that a lot of this abuse actually took place. Next, this is a picture of a shelf with about a dozen binders on it. The binders, of course, have been redacted by the FBI. Next up, we've got a picture of Jeffrey Epstein holding his hand on Ghislaine Maxwell's belly. We also had testimony that Ghislaine Maxwell was pregnant. What's going on here? And finally, a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell and Kevin Spacey, who's faced his own accusations, sitting on the thrones of Buckingham Palace. These people are sick. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for continuing to support us. Support the show. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code POSO. Make it part of your Christmas shopping as well as your Christmas giving. One thing that we've done, we've put in some extra orders. We're going to be bringing those to our local church. We're going to donate it for the Christmas drive for needy families in our area, in the DC greater area. I think there's a lot of people, hopefully, that can get some good from that. And we're just making it part of what we do. That's something that we do every year. Obviously, we don't make a huge deal out of it, but I'm just offering it as a possible opportunity for you. If you want to support American workers, support American families, you go to mypillow.com. You got the sheets, the toppers, the towels, you got everything there, the Bible pillows. That's one thing that I really appreciate. We've got those for the kids so that we can pass our stories down, pass our traditions down to everybody. mypillow.com, promo code POSO. Next up, and I apologize, folks. I know this is heady stuff. One of the photos that was released just yesterday in this case, it shows Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and a French model recruiter flying on the Lolita Express. What it shows in the photo, and I'll have to describe this for people who aren't watching, and if you do have children around, be careful about this one. Maybe turn this down or put it on the AirPods, etc. It shows Jeffrey Epstein's foot, and it's being massaged by Ghislaine Maxwell. Her shirt is basically open. It's definitely showing some buttons unbuttoned at the top. You can't really see anything from the angle, but it's a very disturbing photo. But next to them on the plane is Jean-Luc Brunel. Who is Jean-Luc Brunel? Well, from NBC last year, almost 1 year ago today, December 19th, 2020. A modeling agent who is suspected of organizing the accommodation of young girls or young women on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein has been charged with the rape of minors, a French prosecutor said. Jean-Luc Brunel was arrested as part of an ongoing investigation on Wednesday at Charles de Gaulle Airport, the airport of Paris, as he was preparing to take a flight to Senegal in Africa. Listen to one of his accusers who came out publicly and spoke at that time.
I reported Brunel to the police 10 months ago. I knew that my case was past the statute of limitations, but I did it anyway. I reported him anyway, just to inspire other victims to come forward. It happened to me when I was 18, when I was a model in Paris. That was when Brunel raped me, and I was really ashamed. As a young girl, I was really ashamed, and I felt also guilty that happened to me. So for years, I tried to forget and to not think about it, but that doesn't work, you know. So I suffered depression. There were times that I partied really hard and used drugs and alcohol just to don't feel the pain, you know. I really hope that that he will stand trial, and that he's not like getting bail and vanishing somewhere.
Paris prosecutor Remy Heitz said in a news release that he was charged with sexual harassment and the rape of minors over 15 years old by a magistrate on Friday at the end of Brunel's custody period. So understand what's going on here. And we've got testimony on this. We've got evidence of this. We've got accusers coming out on this. Even though he was charged with this specific crime, we know what his role was. He was the Ghislaine Maxwell of France for Jeffrey Epstein. He was Epstein's other recruiter. Epstein may have had multiple recruiters that we don't even know about yet, because again, this investigation is not going on. It's not being broached beyond what we know in court, right? We've got Ghislaine Maxwell is in court, Jean-Luc Brunel's in court, or he's going to be in court in France, and they're going to make the entire thing go away. These are incredibly powerful people. They were running in some of the top circles of the entire Western world. And we know what they were doing. This was an industrial level recruitment operation where, and you can hear some of this in court, some of the tactics they were using, some of the TTPs. You would find someone when they were young, where would you go? You would go to schools, you would go to modeling agencies. You would say, hey, I can make you a star. Hey, I can make you famous, or hey, I can give you some work, right? So there's different levels on this, different tracks. So Ghislaine Maxwell, that was more the massage track. Jean-Luc Brunel, this was more, I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to make you famous, very similar to what Harvey Weinstein was doing. But instead, he was going and targeting people that were underage. He was targeting people who were teenagers, or some cases even younger than that. And they were all brought forward to Jeffrey Epstein. Many of them made it down to that island in the Caribbean. So understand this operation and understand how broad-reaching international this really went. They targeted women who were at risk, girls who were at the age where they didn't know what the rules were. They didn't know what the law was. They didn't know what they were doing was wrong in many cases, or by the time they figured out the situation they were in, they were trapped. You hear people saying, they took my passport away. They took my phone away. What was I going to do? How could I get out? That is rape. And this was an industrial level child sex operation that was going on at the highest levels. Now, much has been made about Ghislaine Maxwell, but we also have to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell. Who was he? What kind of circles did he run in? What was he all about? And more importantly, most importantly, perhaps, how did he die? And what were the circumstances of this mysterious death? First, let's start with a photo. For people listening, here's Robert Maxwell standing with Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Again, we see direct ties to the royal family, direct ties where the Maxwells were going in and out of these circles. It was Robert Maxwell who enabled Ghislaine Maxwell to move into these circles, and then Ghislaine Maxwell used her access to then bring Jeffrey Epstein, who brought along his money, into these circles. Why did they need this money, you ask? Well, simple. Robert Maxwell was a very powerful newspaper publisher in England. He published the Daily Mirror, as well as numerous other newspapers throughout the country. These are some of the most powerful tabloids, and they still are, in the UK. Then something happened. One day, 1991, he was found missing from his yacht while he was out sailing near the Canary Islands, Spain. They later found his body naked in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Investigators claimed that it was an accidental death from drowning, that he had fallen overboard, had a heart attack, and then died in the water. But that's not what Ghislaine Maxwell believed, according to her brother. Listen to this.
A body has been found in the sea off the Canaries. It would appear very much as if it is that of our father.
Well, I mean, it marked a turning point for all of us.
One of the most powerful publishers in the world has died, Robert Maxwell. He disappeared today from his yacht.
While the official cause of death was a heart attack, a lot of people didn't buy it.
Nobody was sure what happened. Some thought it was an accident, others thought suicide.
Ghislaine, however, uniquely in our family, has always thought he was murdered. And she's alone in that. It's her profound conviction that that is what happened.
The world's press basically flocked to the Canary Islands in the hope of finding out what had happened.
It's Ghislaine who takes the lead, and she stands on the deck of the boat that bears her name and gives a press conference.
I want to thank the press for their courtesy and consideration.
Throughout his entire career, With his businesses, Robert Maxwell ended up getting into billions and billions of dollars of debt. He then proceeded, or he's accused, this later came out after his death, he was accused of pension fraud and basically robbing from his pensions in order to continue to fund his businesses while lying to everybody and cooking the books on this. Why would he do these things? Well, one of the theories out there that's largely suspected by a number of top journalists back in the 1990s who reported on this was that he may have been some sort of an intelligence asset, whether he was a source or an informant or actually potentially an asset himself for either a variety of countries, including Russia, Israel he was accused of, Czechoslovakia at the time. Some people called him an anti-communist. Some people called him a pro-communist. But the questions surrounding his death and the questions surrounding his access to the royal family have always been questioned. And everybody wants to know what happened. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell has stated that she believes her father was murdered. What we know for sure is that her father had access at some of these extremely high levels. So he was getting access to information. A lot around the time was nuclear secrets and who were selling nuclear secrets. Remember, this was a huge part of the arms race back in the 1980s, the 1990s. We were talking about Cold War intelligence. So if it comes out that he was an anti-communist, right, spy, then it very could be the result of a Soviet plot. Again, we're getting way into the weeds here. All we know for sure is that Robert Maxwell was found in the water. He was found dead. He took this trip on this yacht supposedly by himself out in the Canary Islands, out in the Atlantic Ocean. And so around Ghislaine Maxwell, there is nothing but a strong list of mysterious deaths, suicides, accidental deaths, and suspected murders. Get on the lifeboats. I don't know how much longer this show is going to be on Apple, Spotify, etc., everywhere you get your podcasts, but I do know that on Twitter, we are not long for this world. They just banned the account that was actually covering the Ghislaine Maxwell case. What does that mean? You've got to get on the lifeboats right now. Get on Getter. Go to gettr.com. For the time being, you need to establish your presence off of Twitter, and that's exactly what we are doing. We are getting on Getter. We're established there. This podcast is there. This show is there because they are trying to shut us down everywhere. For our final segment in Ghislaine Maxwell Exposed, this special episode of Human Events, Sarah Ransom, a victim of Epstein and Maxwell, states, "I want Ghislaine behind bars for the rest of her life." And she describes what she calls torture and abuse, rape, by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Here's her appearance on The View yesterday.
Okay, first of all, it makes me sick to my stomach that Ghislaine is claiming to be innocent and claiming to be a victim because she was the chief orchestrator. She was the engineer, and Ghislaine is as guilty, if not more guilty than Jeffrey.
Why do you say she's even more guilty?
She broke the sisterhood bond. You know, one would assume she used the fact that she was a woman to normalize being raped. And Ghislaine, this is the woman that forced me into a room to be raped by Jeffrey and then smoked after I was limping back to the compound where all the survivors had to sleep. She forced me. She knew that by leading me into that room, I was there to be raped, and she took great satisfaction in watching my pain.
That's horrible.
Sarah Ransom was a British woman who was allegedly raped, according to the Daily Mirror, yes, the same Daily Mirror, multiple times by Jeffrey Epstein on what is dubbed his pedophile island, tried desperately to swim shark-infested waters to escape. Sarah Ransom described her months of alleged torture at the hands of the multimillionaire and Ghislaine Maxwell, during which she is said to have been raped up to 3 times a day. She said she became so determined to flee Little St. James Island, the financier's private 70-acre isle. She gambled her life in the Caribbean waters. Quote, "A shark would have been my best friend at that point. I didn't even think about it. It was just, get me away." But Epstein had installed video cameras all over the island, and his team quickly found Sarah and returned her to the home. Ms. Maxwell, of course, is denying the allegations and is declaring that she is not guilty. But Sarah Renstone has said that Ghislaine Maxwell was the person that brought her in, took her phone away, took her passport away, brought her to Epstein, saw what was going on in those rooms, and apparently, we're told, laughed about it. Now, of course, we're not here to say that we are going to find somebody guilty before a trial, because that's one thing that I've always said, that everyone deserves a fair trial, everyone deserves their hearing in court. But at the same time, we know that there is hard evidence of many of these things that went on that island. But more importantly, what we want to know, and we will always want to know, is what were the names of the Epstein network. August 10th, 2019 was the day that Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his prison cell in New York City, in Brooklyn. To this day, we still have questions about just what happened in there. Why was he not kept on suicide watch? Why did the guards not go over to check on this extremely high-profile inmate? Certainly, it wouldn't be the first time that a pedophile had killed themselves in prison. But for someone of this high level, it certainly begs the question, what went wrong? How did Jeffrey Epstein die? Some say it was suicide, others say it may have been something else. But when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell, the real question on everyone's mind is, why won't she name names and tell the truth about what was going on that island, on that plane, for all those years? Ladies and gentlemen, you have my permission to lay ashore. And that concludes our special Human Events Daily, Ghislaine Maxwell Exposed. Now, Turning Point Live continues with The Couch. Take it away, John.
Appreciate it, Jack. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jon Root, and welcome to TPUSA Live. Here's the rundown for today's show. First, we're going to give you some pretty wild stories in the daily briefing. Then next, crime has skyrocketed across the country, and we'll tell you how Kim K is involved. Then Kyle Rittenhouse has had some profound, yet very interesting things to say on his media tour. Finally, we'll introduce you to the newest members of our Professor Watchlist, followed by Mandate Madness in one last thing. Get ready. TPUSA Live from HQ starts now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, this is TPUSA Live.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. It's John with the ladies today.
Yeah!
Look at that. Wow.
It's the girls. Yeah.
Let's go. It's an honor to be here with you, ladies. Wow, what a dream. Teisha Powell is back. So good to have you. Author, attorney, TPUSA ambassador. So good to have you back for the second day.
Thank you, John.
Ellie Byrd, you're making your debut here on TPUSA Live.
I am. I'm
Welcome.
so excited to be here.
So guys, you're here. And then you guys all know Alex Clark. You saw her in the open of the show. You see her on POPlitics, The Spillover. Alex, it's so good to have you.
Great to be here.
I also have to point out that y'all look great, and I just wore the most bland colors today.
I think that helps everything blend well.
It makes you guys stand out a lot more, which is what we need to do the whole show.
Thank you.
The whole hour.
I wish every man said that to me.
Seriously, that's so sweet.
Well, take notes, gentlemen. All right, let's start out the daily briefing with this. You've heard so much about Let's Go Brandon, and now we have a boat parade in Virginia that had its #1 star. It won first place in the boat parade for their Let's Go Brandon lighting. But get this, at the Yorktown Lighted Boat Parade, they gave it first place and then revoked it. They took it away and they said it was disqualified and stripped of its award over its overt political message.
I'm so sick of this. It's so unfair. we just need to start our own parades, our own parties. Should we even be entering these contests anymore? That's so terrible.
It sucks, but I think at least you had Bill Berger, the boat's owner. He defended the decorations on Facebook, obviously, because that's probably he's an older guy, so he's got to go to Facebook with it, right?
Oh, yes, that's number one giveaway.
Listen here, boomers. I won first place and they took it away from me, and then everybody gets riled up. But I think Let's Go Brandon, it's just sweeping the country, and then now it's winning parades, and fortunately it's having awards taken away.
Well, first place in our hearts, right?
Yeah.
No, and a majority vote, I guess, it won, but poor guy didn't get it stripped away. Because the name of it wasn't World Peace or something that won.
So second place,
You're kidding me.
We got Peace on Earth.
Oh, please. That's so boring, so unoriginal.
Yeah, I mean, it's still sweet, but it's like, come on. Let's Go Brandon is taken off. It's something that's a little bit original. I want to get your take on this one, though, Teisha, there's a family tracking app that's now selling customers' locations. So according to an investigation by Markup, a family safety app used to track children's movements and selling location data to a bunch of different data brokers. So Life360 is the app, and they're supposed to simplify safety for families. And they've sold to data brokers including Xmode, Safegraph, and many more. But the thing about that is they sell it to them, who then sells it to places like the CDC and the DOD.
So that's what I want to know. Why the government want more information on our kids? You know, this is what is kind of fishy about the whole thing. Big government wants access to our children. Why? What is the purpose? To tax them more? To indoctrinate them more into socialism? What really is it? It's not their business where our children go.
Exactly. And it's not like there's just a few people that use this app. Life360 has about 31 million members, according to its website. And it's intended, it comes down to there's an intention behind these apps, and it seems like it's been a total farce. So it's intended to provide parents with the ability to track their children's movements. So it's for parents. But now knowing that you have basically this eagle eye, the big brother looking at you too, it's terrifying.
Well, I think we should just go back to the good old-fashioned days where you flick the porch light on, or when the street lights come on, that's when the kids come in, right? Why can't we go back to that? I also don't necessarily agree with parents, having that close a watch. To a certain extent, yes, but it's also getting a little bit out of control, this helicopter parenting, and that's why you have these kids who are terrified to go out and have their own lives and, move out of the house and stuff because they're being so sheltered and over-parented almost by their parents.
It reminds me, have you seen Black Mirror? Any of you guys?
Yes.
It feels like more and more you see stories like this in the world we live in. It's like a Black Mirror episode, because I know there is one about a mother who has a specific tracking app on her daughter, and they are able to, because it's in that daughter's eye, shield her from a scary dog that's across the street or anything else that she doesn't want the kids to see. But the bigger thing is, parents should be able to parent how they want, but we don't want government involved. We talked about that, school boards, everything like that.
And they're going younger and younger, and they're pretending that they're protecting parents when they're selling our information purposely to big government. And that's the problem I'm having, that the government is just overreaching. They're trying to be part of the family, which is not intended. You're supposed to protect me. Don't tell me how to raise my family. Don't tell me how to tell my kids that God loves them.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not trying to co-parent with government. You're not trying to co-parent. And then we're not parents ourselves, but you are. We would go to you for this, but I know when I'm going to become a parent, Gov, take a hike. I'm going to be with my wife. All right. We can take care of it.
But you're living in the same America I'm living in, and this is government. So it's going to happen to your kids. We've got to fight back. Government has to come out of our lives.
Yes.
They have to come out of our bedroom.
When I was in high school, that wasn't that big of a deal. It was just like the location. But now everyone wants it.
I'll cut you off real quick. I'll have you finish right after the break. We'll see you guys in 90 seconds.
We as conservatives have got to stop playing defense. We are going to get into an offensive mindset here at this conference.
Good Ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Teisha, Ellie, Alex, and a dude. Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Once again, we're at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. I know I had to cut you off before the break, but we were talking about how there was a data tracking app for parents to track their kids, let them know where they are, and then now it's being sold, and we're talking about co-parenting with government.
Yes, I was going to say back when I was in high school, which wasn't that long ago, but literally it was not like that. Only a few people. It was kind of the overprotective parents, their kids had it. And I mean, there's still, of course, your child, you're going to find ways around the app and stuff, but the problem is with a parent safety app being sold to the government and telling these parents that your kids are safe, but this. And I agree with you with the overparenting, because it's a creepy app. You know where you are at every second, how long, and all of that, but it is necessary for some people for safety.
Yeah, spot on. Well, we got the pop culture queen with us right now. We got Alex Clark, and Kim K is in the news because we've seen a crime wave across the country. We're always hearing about what's going on in Chicago, breaks our heart, but a lot of it is coming down to we have liberal mayors, and we have libs just in office, and they're ruining cities, they're ruining states, and then now we're seeing a crime wave in LA, and someone like Kim Kardashian is actually promoted the new district attorney, and then from there, we've just seen it increase. So last year on Twitter, Kim Kardashian endorsed the newly appointed LA District Attorney George Ghislaine by saying in this tweet, check this out, Los Angeles County is the largest jail system in the country, and it's home to the largest jurisdiction in the state. These changes out of the DA's offices are the change we've been waiting for, and I hope they have a ripple effect across the country. And then she added to that tweet thread, more people will see the justice they deserve soon, and then at George Ghislaine. You just wrote a live feed article about this, and I think it's time to go off.
Well, I did. And here's the thing that's interesting is Kim Kardashian is a violent crime survivor, right? She was involved in that really scary Paris robbery where several men came into her hotel room. She was alone, and they stole her jewelry. It was a huge thing. They tied her up in the bathtub. It was very scary. But what's interesting is that with her prison reform stuff, she's gone so extreme that now she is promoting people and telling people to vote for people who they don't have a strong stance on violent crime. This is a district attorney who's just basically locking people up and letting them right back out, including very violent offenders. And you have some stats, I don't have them memorized, but you have the stats of how after he's been elected, they've just exploded. And she's one of the biggest people that were promoting this guy. Vote for Gaskin, and then now this. So those stats are shootings have increased by 59% in just this year. There's been a 37% increase in murder, just about 47% in homicides, and 23% in violent crime compared to the last 2 years. It's skyrocketed. It's not just increased a little bit. She promoted somebody that is just running LA into the ground even more.
But she has no legal skills. This is a popular pop culture. This is a problem with America when we worship celebrities. She doesn't have, she's never been to law school. I guess she's doing classes now, but she really doesn't know how the system works. So we go from celebrities telling us exactly what to do, and this is wrong. And I'm just surprised that voters are going with Kim Kardashian because she has no legal skill, no political skills, and she's controlling LA just like that.
They're giving these people with no credentials this huge platform to, and people are being so influenced by it to put up this man as the new DA, and it's just because from a person who does not have any, she is not even going to be dealing with what normal every LA people deal with in their day-to-day life.
Right, and that's the thing here is that, so Kim is promoting this guy, crime is climbing the charts. And Kim has 4 security guards outside of her room at all times. Yep. She is like basically an entire bunker on her property for security. She's not going to have to deal with the repercussions of electing somebody like Gaskin to district attorney. And so that's what's frustrating, is that how do voters not see through that BS that these celebrities spew when they tell you, oh yes, vote for this. They get all this social media clout for promoting leftist progressives in office, and then they never have to deal with the fallout. The only people that have to deal with the fallout is you and I.
Yes.
But this shows you that it's not real, because she doesn't believe in the person she voted for, because she'd get rid of the 4 bodyguards.
That's so true.
Or she wouldn't go, can't even go to across the street without her bodyguards driving her in her car, all of that. Like,
so Kim Kardashian doesn't believe LA is safe.
No.
If she did, she wouldn't have the 4 bodyguards walking around with.
Well, that's when we talked about on the show last week, who is it, Seth Rogen? It said,
correct.
Okay, sorry, Casey Neistat, just a big YouTuber. Like, well, this just happens in LA. You're going to get your car broken into. You're going to lose your stuff. It is what it is.
Because Casey was talking about how his car had gotten broken into and they stole all of his daughter's birthday decorations or kids' birthday decorations, whatever. Yep. And Seth Rogen said, well, that's happened to me 15 times. Who cares? Your car, he said, your car shouldn't be an extension of your life like that. And you know what? This is how you see how the left is so unbelievably out of touch and they are the privileged ones. Yes. Because for so many of us, our car is an extension of our lives. That is a huge, important part of our life. That's how we get to work. That's how we make money. If we have no car, we have nothing. Some people live out of their cars. I mean,
many people in LA live out of their cars. Johnny Depp lived out of his car before he got started. And I mean, many actors, that's how they made their way. And they're the ones telling you to vote for these leftists and everything.
I think of, I don't know if you guys watched the series, which is based on a true story made on Netflix recently.
I've heard of it.
It's very popular. But that girl in there, it's a true story, and she is showing how she's escaping a domestic violence situation. And so in the show, for a period of time, she's having to live out of her car as she's trying to figure out how to work, balance these minimum wage jobs and care for her daughter. And so for someone like Seth Rogen to say to that girl, for example, the star who Made is based off of, that would absolutely ruin her life if her car kept getting broken into like that in LA.
And then you guys can speak to this way more than I can. I just found out who Lord Scott Disick was just a couple weeks ago. So you guys know pop culture, you know the Kardashians, but you know that they influence culture so much. And then now they're influencing legislation. They're influencing who's going to be in power. It's not just like, oh, buy this lip kit, or I like these shoes, or whatever. It's now really affecting real people, not just consumers of just random products. And I feel like that's what's making just the biggest difference here.
It shouldn't be that way. Because you're famous, it doesn't mean that you should have this much political clout. Because you can sell perfume, that's wonderful, but what do you know about what's going to keep us safe? And it's crazy that people are actually following along.
Well, people don't ask questions. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We talk about it on the show all the time. Ask questions, do your own research, and maybe take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I think there might be an aspect of how President Trump got in power, and then you see other celebrities where it's like, well, I can do it.
That's why for me right now in my life, and as far as my political views go and where I fall politically, I am definitely conservative, but you know who I respect the most? It's not even the celebrities that are very, very openly conservative who I respect the most. And obviously I don't respect the super leftist celebrities, but it's the people who do ask questions like you're talking about. The Joe Rogans, the Tim Dillons, those are my favorite people to follow right now for their political takes, because they see nuance in things. And they can understand both sides, and they ask hard, critical questions of both sides politically. And I miss that. Even from people on the right, I miss that. And so that's why I think people like Joe Rogan are climbing the popularity charts.
It's actually brave too, because they're taking heat for it. And they're trying to get after their houses, their cars, their money, every part of their livelihood, because they're saying the truth. Things that leftist politicians and other leftist celebrities don't want them to say. And I feel like that's why we should respect people like this, because Joe Rogan, we're not going to align with him perfectly politically, but at least he could sit down at his brand new bunker in Texas and chat with people like Senator Bernie Sanders, someone that we are just not going to align with at all. But at least Joe Rogan can sit down and be like, oh, I feel like I'm in Joe Rogan's shoes. He's asking the questions. I want to know the nitty gritty about all this stuff that's going on. He talks about big tech and everything, because while we're going through things like in at least 12 major cities, they've set historical murder records in 2021. And we have 3 weeks left in the year. and you think a place like Chicago, you think it's going to get better as we get closer to Christmas?
Yeah, and
No,
around the
unfortunately,
holidays,
it doesn't.
that brings on a ton of mental health issues for a lot of people. Different if you're, whether it's being alone or being with your family. So it's only crime spikes definitely during Christmas time.
But that's the way they're actually trying to, I'm going to look this up here. This is, so criminologists are actually trying to blame the soaring murder rate on pandemic-related stress, criminals having too much free time.
This is interesting.
This stuff, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this post-pandemic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress, I don't remember what they're calling it. It's so confusing. Whatever it is, so not only are they blaming, this is the first I've heard of this, high murder rates are on post-pandemic stress, they're also blaming heart problems. Over 300,000 people in the UK now have heart problems all of a sudden, but that's post-pandemic stress.
Wow.
We can't correlate that to anything else that might be causing heart problems. So it's interesting. Murder, heart problems, what else? Runny nose, I don't know, you know, what else? Depression, itchy skin, everything. It's just post-pandemic stress. It's interesting how that works.
Well, it's been happening in the last couple of years too, where they're just saying, hey, you know, there's social justice stuff going on, and, you know, this certain community is hurting, so they need to relieve their stress by looting and rioting and burning small businesses down. They're just stressed out. Give them a break. You literally have leftist politicians saying that.
This bogus post-traumatic, post-pandemic stress disorder or whatever, they're going to use that as a catch-all for all these real side effects that are coming from things, and they're going to blame that. The leftist politicians that have been elected, well, that's post-pandemic stress causing all, you know, that's not them causing the murder rates, that's not their policies, it's, you know, your heart issues, that's coming from post-pandemic stress, not anything else that you might have recently put into your body. So that's what's scary, is you have to read closely and look between the lines of how they're hiding all of these different things.
But the truth is that less police mean more crime, because people, you know, they're going to do right or wrong.
Right.
And I'm surprised that this big government, they know morally it's wrong to steal. You know, you don't even have to read the Bible. You should know it's wrong to steal. And they're allowing people to steal. Do you know why they're allowing that? Because they get to stay in office. That's what it's about. The corrupt big government. They stay in office, and they're rich enough to have their own bodyguards, so they're not going to be affected by the crime rate.
Yeah, you're just empowering criminals across the country. And I know Babylon Bee always sends out some great stuff. Like, while we're talking about something like a crime wave, saying just how just terrible something like this, you can find some humor. So they're talking about places like San Francisco, where if it's a little less than $950, you do not prosecute that person. The law will not go after them. So they said that convenience store managers and owners are now going to start marking all products as $951.
So maybe they won't get stolen from it.
But a lot of this is just coming down to so much of just leftist politicians are just letting criminals run rampant. So when you hear something like defunding the police, when you hear that, hey, don't call 911 if you don't really think it's much of an emergency, call this other number and then we'll determine. I mean, a lot of these crimes, you need help right away.
Immediately.
And most of the time, too, even when you're going to call 911, you're not even sure if they're going to arrive on time to help you out.
Yes.
So when you have criminals hearing that, oh, man, they might just send some sort of social worker, of course they feel empowered.
It just, you know, living in Jamaica, I've experienced corruption. It just seems as if anytime government is corrupted, the crime rate gets higher.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in Jamaica. They used to let out the criminals. One side do it, and now they're doing it in America.
And if you keep rewarding this bad behavior and putting it on a pedestal, and then these people who are just good people just living their everyday life as citizens there, and you're not, or when you're telling them they're doing something wrong or they should be worrying more about this and that when they are, but just not to the level that the leftists are technically wanting them to. And it's just, that's what causes society to go chaotic.
Yeah.
Another thing criminologists are trying to say is this has been political and racial conflicts, and they went on to say it's subsequent retirement of police officers en masse. No, it's not getting rid of police officers because of something. It's because they're retiring, and that's when we don't have enough help. It's not this defund the police movement. It's not anything about
they lie
forcing
about their
something.
lies, which are lies about their lies. It's a never-ending trail. They never stop. You would think once the fake news got exposed, which is one of the best gifts that the Trump presidency gave us, that they would cut this stuff out because now it's so glaringly obvious. But no, they've doubled down, and that's what's scary.
Finally, as we wrap this up, we got about a minute left. Do you think someone like Kim K is going to come out and say, hey, I was wrong?
No, never. She's going to run for president.
Kris Jenner would never let her say she was wrong. No. Yeah.
Because I think that's one of our biggest issues when we look to this administration now. It's just like no one is taking accountability for anything.
No.
So when you have celebrities and pop culture icons actually ruining the places that you live, and they're not saying anything about it, they're like, well, whoopsies. But at least I'm okay. I have my security. I have my house. I got my cars. I got this, that, and the other thing.
Once Kim is remarried, which I believe will happen in the next 10 years, then start watching. I think she's going to pursue hardcore political career.
Yes, it looks like that's what's her. I guess she's
That's
made
her
enough
agenda.
money. Now it's time for power.
Yes.
I would not like to see Pete Davidson as the
first man.
gentleman.
First gentleman.
Anything is possible.
Trust me, it won't be Pete.
Anything is possible.
That would be yikes. I just like.
We didn't think President Biden would win either. Anything is possible.
That's
now.
very, very true. We're going to talk about Kyle
Anything is
Rittenhouse's
possible.
media tour next. See you soon.
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Stein. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona. El socialismo no funciona.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. We got the ladies and the one dude back. All right, we're going to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse's media tour. It started out pretty emotional. You know, you're going to have the Tucker Carlson interview, and then he actually came here, and we were honored to have Kyle Rittenhouse here in-house at TPUSA.
And you know, with Charlie Kirk, he's going to ask great questions, but it's also going to be very serious. Charlie is a very no-frills, fun and games person.
Yeah, 100% though. He had Jack Posobiec there. So when you see this media tour keep rolling on. So when he goes to visit our friends over at the Blaze at the You Are Here podcast, you got Elijah Schaffer, you know he's going to get some wonky questions. And he's going to have some interesting things to say. Me as a sports guy, I was really interested to see his response to LeBron James, and this was his response to that.
All ethnicities or what?
All ethnicities.
You like curvy or thin?
I like thick.
Oh, damn,
okay.
boy.
So that was not the LeBron one, but I will tell you what he said about LeBron. He said a big F you to LeBron, but questions like that from Elijah Schaffer and the rest of the hosts there at the You Are Here podcast, it's like, all right, well, we've heard so much about, you know, how you feeling, what's been the response from everybody.
We got to ask the real questions
like,
now.
What do you think about the ladies,
He's
man?
still a kid.
And that's what we think. He's an 18-year-old kid, so I guess he just likes them thick with 2 C's. What was your response?
I thought this was hilarious, and I thought it was insane how some of the biggest what's like misogynist ever, leftist misogynists on Twitter were attacking Kyle Rittenhouse for saying that. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then also everything you're seeing online, we're showing you here during this segment. If you're more upset about what he's saying about his preferences with women than you are about how he's been defamed over the last year, maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror and realize this is an 18-year-old kid. He's gone through a traumatic experience. It's stuff that I wouldn't ask him at all if I had to sit down with Kyle Rittenhouse, but stuff like this, like we can find a little bit of humor in it, and it's a little dorky conversations too, which I think we can get a little humor out of.
And it's just a podcast. Like, it was just all in good fun. I think it was trying to put Kyle in a new light, get him, move him on from this, because he has the rest of his life ahead of him. And, I mean, you have to believe in the justice system, and he was innocent. And so...
Here's the thing, though. Isn't it interesting what the left is always pearl clutching over? So they're very upset that Kyle Rittenhouse said, I love big boobs. They're upset about that. That's offensive. But then they're not upset when you have like a 5-year-old drag kid, you know, parading with barely any clothes on in a bar. That's acceptable. But Kyle Rittenhouse, a straight white male, 18-year-old male, saying, I like big boobs is unacceptable. That's interesting. They're so fake. Yeah. Everything they do is so fake.
Exactly. Well,
I just love how they like to spin the truth. You know, I just love how they go from the Bible to whatever, you know, comes their way. And they think it's okay. But we're going to be judged one day. We are going to be judged.
And then something like this with Kyle, I think it like we've said, just a brand new light on the kid. And it's just, let's get to know Kyle as a kid. He's an 18-year-old kid. He already had Lunchbox and the rest of the team there bring out some of his old, you know, tweets, the different names that he had for social media accounts, and they tried to say like, well, you're playing Call of Duty, and does that have anything to do with what just happened in Kenosha? Like, there's a lot of ridiculous stuff you heard in the trial, and then now I think the backlash here. And before we actually get to Steven Crowder's interview with him, Barstool, KFC Barstool, one of their big hosts over there, he actually had a few different things to say about this whole media tour that was going on with Kyle Rittenhouse. He did take some heat for this first one, saying, I'd find a bigger loser than this kid, it's impossible. And I was like, that's
and the ratio on this tweet
that was tough.
Could kill.
Yeah.
The ratio was so brutal, because the thing about KFC from Barstool, if you know anything about the Barstool world, is that KFC was a chronic cheater, cheated on his pregnant wife. Wow. And that was a whole thing. He ended up getting divorced. His wife left him because he was so horrible. And also, you know, this is the thing. Like, a lot of the Barstool podcasts and stuff, and I love them, and I love Dave Portnoy. And part of the reason that they get slack from the far left is because they are guys. They do a lot of locker room type talk. So for KFC from Barstool to say, what a loser, this guy's saying I like big titties and big butts. Like are you kidding me?
And
like,
things that they post.
That's his brand.
It was weird too, because he is a host of 1 Minute Man. So he always posts a 1 minute video about whatever's going on in the world.
About it.
And he did make fun of himself, Dave Portnoy, and all of Barstool were like, I don't know why there would ever be an outlet or a program that would just talk about butts, boobs, and women, and it just shows like flashes of Dave Portnoy tweets. So it was weird that he would make fun of himself and then tweet out something like that. It just seemed like, what's going on upstairs, KFC?
Yeah.
But he answered his own question. He's a bigger loser than
Yes, literally.
I mean,
and
he
everyone
cheated
let
on
him
his
know that.
wife.
Even
I
his
mean,
yes,
come
they
on.
did.
He has no morality. I mean, come on.
If everyone knows you got your clientele is because of the fraternity, like fraternity boys just doing drunken, stupid things. And that's how they got their clientele, and that's what so that's what's so funny about it.
And then this is how he responded on Twitter too. He threw up this tweet and said, I don't care, number one, what your politics are. Number two, what your gun stance is. Number three, what happened in Kenosha and at the trial. If you see these clips of Kyle Rittenhouse saying, I like butts and boobs, and your reaction is, well, that was weird and uncomfortable, you're a weirdo. Like,
no, because here's the thing, Barstool Sports is the company that was home for a long time of the #1 sex podcast in the world. KFC from Barstool was never tweeting, I've never seen a bigger loser than Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. So that's where the double standard is.
And I think the best way to finish this off too is, like, you're seeing so many of these clips here that we're showing you, but there were a lot of great hosts out there like Steven Crowder. They were saying like, hey, I still do want to know about how you feel about this whole ordeal. And I think the way that Kyle Rittenhouse explained this in his sit down with Steven Crowder was great. Check it out.
I know you said that it wasn't something that should be celebrated.
That is correct.
But you don't feel guilt for what you had to do?
No. I knew I defended myself, and I just don't think it's something to be celebrated out. At the end of the day, 2 lives were lost, and I may have been attacked, but it's not something to celebrate.
I don't think it's something to celebrate, and I asked that because if you said that you did, this would be an intervention that you should not feel any guilt. And I know sometimes there's misplaced guilt when there's a traumatic event.
Well, that's when somebody does the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I think for the most part.
But
And that's something that you didn't remember there. Remember that clip. You're going to see a lot of these clips that we just showed you, and the other ones are going to circulate on social media. People are going to get triggered by it, but something like that. Kyle Rittenhouse still has been so calm, cool, and collected throughout the whole process. He's gone through PTSD. He has a therapy dog with him. And remember those words that he said, this should not be celebrated. I should not be celebrated. 2 men died in that situation there. And please stop making me out to be like some sort of hero or something. Obviously, he was there to protect businesses. He had family associated with Kenosha. But remember that, stop trying to celebrate this. Stop putting me on some sort of pedestal here. Lives were lost, and that's how we should remember this situation. Because that's where I think, especially when we have different places like Turning Point USA, like you said, Charlie's going to have a more emotional conversation with him. And then I hope it's not lost, the kind of conversations that Charlie and Jack and then people like Tucker have with him.
No, but I think that's what's so cool about the conservative movement is that all of those people, all of those different clips from those interviews that we just showed were all conservative hosts, but all very different shows. Everyone has a very different style, and that's what's neat about the conservative movement is that we actually do have now in 2021, look at the different variety of media and entertainment options and show options and everything that we have now to consume. And I think that's really cool that Kyle's able to go on all these different shows and show different sides of his personality depending on the host.
And of course, though, that they chose that, like you said, he had so many amazing other interviews. But of course, they're choosing this one moment, this one little tiny thing to harp on because they're just keeping this narrative going with him.
Yeah.
Trying to.
And self-defense is every day in America.
Every day.
So we are allowed to have self-defense.
Yes.
So I don't know why big government is making such a big thing out of it, aside from they really want to take our guns from us. That's what that's probably about.
Well, and then Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be in the news for a long time, too, because he has lawsuits after lawsuit after lawsuit out there. So you're going to see these little clips for probably just a little while on social media, and then it's going to resurface the conversation of self-defense, the conversation about constitutional judges, the conversation about how this was not about white supremacy, this wasn't about race, and how much of a farce this whole thing was. So when those lawsuits come through, you thought Nick Sandmann got a lot of money. Kyle Rittenhouse is about to get paid, rightfully so. But coming up next, we're going to introduce you to the newest members of our Professor Watchlist. We'll see you guys in 90 seconds.
Good ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
Conservatives! POPlitics is now on TPUSA Live. It'll be here every day in case you want to hear me out along with the rest of the Turning Point USA team. Don't miss out on all the conservative.
Hey everyone, welcome back to TPUSA Live. In this next segment, we're going over the brand new members of the Professor Watchlist. They made this because they're the worst. They're terrible. We got so much indoctrination on our campuses and so many crazy lefties that are teaching these kids some pretty wonky and wild stuff. So we're going to go over this first one here. So Ari Cohen, professor at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, part of the Schlesinger Professor of Social Justice in the Department of Political Science. We're going to show a photo of him. Man, hello, Ari. Great to see you, buddy. All right, Dr. Cohen. His research includes social justice education, technology and racism, very, very important, and extremist challenges to liberalism. So in May of 2019, this is what he had to say. He accused members of various TPUSA chapters in the state of Nebraska of being white supremacists. You probably see a lot of different hosts on shows and people you're talking to, or you're getting breakfast, lunch, brunch, whatever, and they go like this. I probably do this about 45 times a show. And he's trying to say that TPUSA activists and ambassadors are white supremacists because they're doing the OK symbol.
Well, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has made that symbol while talking. There's photographs of Barack Obama making that symbol while talking, Beyonce Knowles while talking. So I guess all of them are also then white supremacists.
And then you're seeing on the screen right now too, so this was a tweet that he put out there, and he tried comparing the Christchurch shooter in New Zealand to what our TPUSA activists. Saying, hey, they're using the same symbol as he did, and it's absolutely disgusting because this terrorist killed 51 people and injured 41 Muslim members of 2 separate mosques. And that's what the left does too. It's not just, oh, I don't agree with these people. They're associated with conspiracy theorists, terrorists, and some of the worst and evil people.
But that's such a far stretch to believe that, Turning Point is white supremacists while the left is just wonderful. It's just, you can't make this stuff up, It's getting from bad to worse.
And then that's where it comes from. People, you're wondering, why are they trying to attack our foundation? Because of things like this. They will tell you that our foundation is evil and racist and we need to get rid of it. And it's because of organizations like Turning Point. We need to dismantle them because they're trying to protect and promote the foundations of America. Newsflash, America is the freest, most prosperous place in the history of the entire world. And we are proud to promote that every single day on this show and every piece of content that we put out there.
Right. Yes, and it's making everyone, it's just not having the pride in America that you need and that we all should have. Because like you said, you can do anything you want in this country. And the only thing holding you back or in your way kind of is the government right now, trying to stand in your way of that. And that's just what's so sad is this whole, that they're still rewarding bad behavior, and these people who are just trying to do good and live their American dream out, they're being affected by the government.
These college professors are letting us feel ashamed of being capitalist. They're making us feel really small for wanting to get up and work and make something of our lives.
Yeah, and then the next professor that we're going to introduce you to as we finish up this one with Dr. Cohen, he accused conservatives of harboring white nationalist sentiments of supporting fascism. So obviously, people have just President Trump syndrome. They're just derangement syndrome. So they obviously get extremely triggered by that. But this next one here that you see on the screen, this is Wayne Au of the University of Washington, Bothell. He is a professor in the School of Educational Studies at that university. And courses and scholarship is centered around, get this, educational policy studies, critical education theory, and teaching for social justice. So he inserts social justice and left-wing topics into curriculums. Like we've talked about so much every single time we do this on Thursdays on TPUSA Live. It's not just about the students at these universities. They are inserting themselves in school boards, in elementary schools, and trying to mold even younger minds to believe this garbage.
Big government has just, been under the Trump administration, Biden administration, Obama administration. Every time big government comes, they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And hopefully there's going to be a day when we can stop them. But they keep growing the government like it's out of control. And college professors are helping big government to grow.
Right.
And I have a feeling it has to do with tuition costs. I have a feeling that big government is the reason that we're paying a lot in school tuition, and the college professors are behind that. So it's just a tick for tack.
Yeah.
I'll keep the college costs high, you teach them the garbage. I believe that's what's going on.
That's a really good point.
As still being a college student, I don't know if y'all have seen this. It's become kind of a joke, because with other students, but in certain classes with certain professors, I write my papers catered a different way to what I know that they believe, what they're going to like, and I get a good grade. And if I do kind of insert my own actual opinion in what I do believe, they're not going to like it, and the paper's wrong or something. Even if it's over this one topic that you shouldn't be graded off the opinions. It should be how good the writing was. But unfortunately,
I hear that
what
all
I do.
the time from conservatives, is just that they will fudge the way they do their writing for different classes based on the professor like that, just to get a good grade and get out of there.
And then something else too, we're talking about how you have leftists that are telling you to rethink the foundation of America, rethink everything about your life and about America. And there's a
the family dynamic.
And even the family dynamic. So he is a educator and board member of Rethinking Schools. So it was founded in 1986. So this group of activists deemed educational curriculums too conservative. So like anytime too someone stands up for America, that's being patriotic. I think sometimes people just have this skewed view of conservatism. And I think especially recently, especially since probably President Trump's presidency. And then, so the organization is dedicated to promoting equity and racial justice in classrooms and strengthening education through social justice activism. And I know that's something we cover on the live feed quite a bit. Just even look at cartoons now. You have kids that are sitting there and they're told, you need to go protest climate change. You need to go protest social justice stuff. You need to get off your couch and start doing this. And these kids have no idea what they're doing. And it starts to be the cool thing. And you're in the in crowd and they're on TikTok. And that's what's going to get you views. And
well, this is also classic communism, is you need the kids to turn against their parents.
Yes.
So they can start informing on their parents. You know, and that's eventually what's, I think, going to happen, is there's going to be some kind of reward for kids that turn in their parents if they are not in line with groupthink.
I feel like the teachers are pitching the kids against the parents, because I've even seen, having my kids in public school, I might tell my son to work hard because you'll get a good house. And the teacher writes and said, why did you tell your son to work hard? He'll get a good house. Circle. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I can't say anything to my kid without hearing from the school.
Well, didn't the other guy that was running for governor in Virginia, didn't he say that parents, you don't have a right to have a say in what your kids learn? Yeah.
Well, and then you had President Obama say it basically just like a right-wing hoax. This is just people trying to scare you. And like when you hear about what happened in Loudoun County, and then you have a former president, you have someone that's running for governor, and they're trying to tell you this stuff isn't real, try saying that to the man whose daughter was raped.
Yeah.
In the bathroom, dare you.
Right.
And then something too, so another thing that this Dr. Au is a part of is the Zen Education project. That's their most well-known initiative in rethinking schools. And this seeks to provide an alternative left-leaning approach to education for teachers to provide students. And this is something that is sweeping across America too. Just like we were talking about that app. You have millions of people on this, and then now hearing this is a network of 130,000 plus teachers, and they grow about 10,000 new teachers per year. So this is more and more people that believe that America is evil, and that we need to rethink the way we educate our children, and they're seeping into schools. And they're not just seeping, they're starting to just flood into schools.
But it's going to conflict so much with the Constitution, because the founding father, it's a Christian nation, and it was based on capitalism. So a lot of what's going on is going to conflict out with the Constitution. So they're wasting their time. I would say teaching socialism is a waste of time in America, because America is a capitalist country.
Well,
so you can't change it. It's not going to be able to be changed. You want a socialist country, go somewhere else. You can't make America a socialist country.
And how old are your kids right now?
8 years old.
8 years old.
Yeah.
So I think anytime we talk about things like this, we talk about college universities quite a bit, and then you have an 8-year-old, and you
two
think
8-year-olds.
two 8-year-olds, and you're thinking about these tens of thousands of teachers that are about to flood into the education system, and try to tell your 8-year-olds that your parents might have escaped Jamaica, socialism, and come to this free place, but it's not really what you think it is. And we're going to rewrite this history, and we're going to tell you what social justice really is.
When you've seen it firsthand.
I'm thinking to move to Florida and go to a private school. That's because I'm not able to fight the teachers. I mean, I want my kids to get good grades.
What state are you in now?
I'm in New York, in the Hamptons, and it's very liberal.
Well, they wonder why people are already pulling out of the school system, and private schools are getting more popular and stuff, and opening up more and everything like that, because parents want a little bit of say in what their kids learn, obviously, because, but I think, that's just complete. You're dealing with the whole run-in right now.
You're all going to deal with it too, because you're going to have kids here. The teachers are just so liberal.
Well, and that's why I'm so passionate about this, is because I don't have kids yet, but I do every day think about what kind of country do I want my future kids to live in. And so that's been so important to me, is to talk to other young girls our age and say, hey, even though we don't have kids yet, or young guys, this is something that needs to be at the top of your list when it comes to voting and what policies we're voting for, and getting involved with your school board meetings, even if you don't have kids, because you are setting everything up for your kids in the future.
Yeah, and then just even, I know you talk about it quite a bit. I know Isabel and Morgan bring it up as well about like the person that you're looking for to be with and you eventually want to parent with. You probably have to have that foundation too, like really knowing that you're on track, because you have to teach the kids together. Because more and more I know that I think about it, I'm like, I don't want to send my kids to public school. No way, no shot. I felt like when I went to public school, I was able to just be a kid. But now it's like I might want to just homeschool, or I'm for sure going to send them to a private school.
Because the government is involved and they're becoming political. They're just enforcing the teachers to become very liberal. And you're right, we're going to probably have to send our kids to private schools, or we're going to have to fight back, you know? We're going to have to sue the school to not indoctrinate our children.
And another thing too, these professors are making a boatload of money, not only just at the university teaching, but with some of these book deals. So Dr. Au, he had a book called A People's History of the United States. It sold millions of copies.
What?
Millions of copies.
Well, he probably had to buy it in the class. That's what happens with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so this was a part of curriculum, not only at this university, but other universities.
Yes.
So he's making a boatload of money. So this book depicts America as, you guessed it, a society founded on racism and genocide. And the aftermath of both reverberating to the present day has been lambasted for its slanted and inaccurate portrayal of American society. So you have someone that sold millions of copies of a book that said, hey, this is the most evil place on earth. It's not about, hey, we had a wrong in the past and then we found a way to rectify it. Like we talked a couple days ago on this couch, you have someone like Frederick Douglass, who's gone through immensely more than any of us could really ever imagine. And he said, these founding documents, they aren't racist, they aren't evil, you're just not living up to them. And someone like that should be put on a pedestal, and someone we should look to more, not professors like this that are trying to tell you like, nope, there's nothing we've done to rectify this at all. It's evil, it's racist, we got to get rid of it. And if you have conservatives out there, they're just trying to tell you some false history.
These college professors are selling the soul for a piece of socialism. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
But then if we get to a socialism nation, there's no way, like the college, do you really think you'll be making that much in college will be that expensive? Because that's why you're doing so well. That's why the professors are doing so well, is because college is out the wazoo nowadays. Right?
But America is a capitalist country.
Yes.
I mean, so I don't know how they're going to change it. And I think they know they cannot change it either. They're just wasting time.
Well, speaking of capitalism, shocker, Dr. Au's got a book about that one. So he's an author of a separate book called A Marxist Education, which should give you the heebie-jeebies just reading that title there. So he talks about the intention to assist teachers in resisting capitalism. And that's what we say here so much. You hear that, like big gov sucks, socialism sucks. Think of the people that leave socialist countries, and I know that's why I feel like your story is so important for people to hear. Like you left a place like Jamaica. What the government did out there, saying I need to get over here because this is real freedom. If you're going to try to tell me that capitalism is wrong,
I was 5 years old when government came in. My father was a real estate builder. We had 5 homes, 5 horses, 5 cows. The government said we've got to make everybody poor. They came in. I was 5 years old. I watched them sell stuff off. And they said they're going to give it to the poor. And at the time I said, that sounds really good. And they took the money for themselves.
Yeah.
And my father said, go to America. It's a much better country. It's not corrupted. These things don't happen in America. I'm 45 years old and I can hear President Joe Biden saying, those with more than 1 homes. And I'm just in tears knowing that my kids are going to be poor. I know for a fact that my kids might be poor in this country.
And that's why your story is so important. But if you want to hear more about just crazy professors like this, go to professorwatchlist.org. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
In these United States of America, this great country of ours, we American Indians, we can be anything we want to be, except American Indians.
A lot of the soldiers were very aggressive, so the women did get raped.
What we call huerte. Huerte means a place of suffering. dying, starvation, nothing good. Just like the Nazi concentration camps.
I didn't realize how corrupt things were. I didn't realize what kind of environment we were living in.
We had no running water, we had no power.
They de-incentivize people from, opportunity.
That's why our suicide rate has climbed up astronomical rates.
I moved from the poorest county in America, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, to the richest area in the country, the Navajo Indian Reservation. There is no difference. The poorest and richest reservations in our nation suffer from identical problems. This is not anything new. This is an everyday occurrence in all tribal governments.
So my life and my tale and my truth has been to fight socialism. And I'm hoping that I can wake up as many Navajos as I can to tell them that you can do this. Yeah, even if I have to fight you to save you. And I think that's what I'm also projecting to my people. Even though they are so harsh on social media and they completely hammer at me, I tell them, I'll be here even if I have to fight you to save you.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Teisha, Ellie, and Alex. We got time for one last thing. We got a few minutes to go over a little bit more LA. I'm so glad I don't live in a place like LA anymore. And anytime we have people on the show and they're like, yeah, I'm in the LA area. Like I know we've had Joe Bob on, the host of Daily Caller Live. And it's like, how are you living there? This is absolutely insane. What they're telling you is you have to, if you go into a restaurant or a bar or just really participate in society at all, you need to have this specific card. You got it.
And New York City too.
Yeah, and same with New York City. That's where I hear your story, and you have young kids. Like, please, I hope to hear from you, and like by next week, and say, hey guys, I'm out. I'm on to Florida.
Yeah, I already bought a home down in Florida. We're leaving, and we're just waiting to get some space in.
Look at that, already way ahead.
Going. She's not just talking the talk. She's walking the walk.
I love it.
900 people died per day during COVID. It was a war zone. I can't live there. 900 people. That's crazy.
Right.
And I'm
per
sure
day.
It's because you're living on top of each other like that. You know, stuff spreads quickly.
No, we had a bad government. We just had bad information from, different people. So it's, you don't have 900 people die every day and it's okay. It's just not okay.
And then what's not okay is what's going on in LA with the teachers. So for so long we talked about how teachers and healthcare workers and first responders, all these people are heroes and what they're doing for the education system, taking care of people medically, blah, 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 blah. And then now you're hearing news like the nation's second largest school district in the country is the LA school district. And we're hearing reports that the school board voted, not shockingly, but 7-0 to terminate workers who did not receive the first dose of the vaccine by November 15th. This is not just one person said, you had everybody say, hey, you don't get this, you're a second-class citizen, you don't deserve to have your job whatsoever. And so that resulted in termination of about 500, just about 500 teachers in that school district. And then in October, the district reported that about 97% of the employees were at least partially vaccinated. But I feel like with places like that, it's not as easy just to move. We talk about that so much. A lot of people have just put their livelihood there, their families there, and they've worked so hard to go through their own education in order to educate the next generation. If they're letting the government tell them what to do with their body, they have no choice.
In order to fight back against this and these insane mandates, and people are going to inevitably have to walk away from jobs. There's going to have to be some changing around in what you thought your life was going to be. I feel like in order to fight back on this, and I really do think the answer for a lot of people is going to be going back to these multi-generational families. Hey, mother-in-law, father-in-law, aunt, uncle, cousins, whatever. Let's all live together, get a bigger property, a bigger house, combine incomes, and then raise our families and try to fight back on this. Because people are going to be losing their jobs and they are going to be financially, in a little bit of a struggle. And I think momentarily that might be a good answer for some people.
I think that this is probably going to be discrimination, and eventually this COVID mandate, it's going to be some HIPAA violation, because what's going to stop the government from going after people with cancer, with heart, it's just COVID for now, but government is overreaching already.
Well, Candace Owens said that she thinks in the next few years we'll have human rights trials against what's been going on. So that will be interesting to see if something like that happens.
Well, and also the goalpost is totally shifted when it comes to what does fully vaccinated mean? Because obviously they're talking about being at least partially vaccinated, but
there's said Omicron or whatever, you need a third and fourth booster.
Yeah, it's not a vaccine at that point. It's just you're having it's a flu shot kind of is what it seems like it's going to kind of turn into. Every year you're going to need your flu shot. That's kind of feel like you're going to get your COVID shot.
Right. Ever since I've been saying this, you've got to watch Dope Sick on Hulu about the OxyContin opioid epidemic, because exactly what Purdue Pharma did with OxyContin and lying to the public and being like, you need more, you need more, you need to up the dose, you need to up the dose. Oh, there's no side effects, there's nothing bad going on. The same freaking thing is happening with with two other big pharma companies now. With Johnson & Johnson and with Pfizer. They're doing the same exact thing that Purdue did with OxyContin. It's uncanny.
Well, and then there needs to be accountability, and there also needs to just be a transparency. We covered that on the show before. It's like, if you have the FDA, it's telling you it's going to take 55 years in order to get this sort of information. It's like, no, we just want transparency. We want everybody to be healthy. We want everybody, hey, you make your own medical decisions. We're not medical professionals here. Go and do whatever you want. But if you're not going to get transparency from places like the CDC and the FDA, you should start asking questions.
Yes.
And then a lot of people, too, have really taken an amazing stand. They've held the line. They said, I'm going to lose my job as an airline pilot. I'm going to lose it as a firefighter, police officer, school teacher, whatever it may be. And those people should be applauded, because I think we're going to look back years from now and realize that that would be proud and be like, hey, that's my mom or dad.
And conservatives, we need to be putting our money where our mouths are. We're telling people, stand up to this, hold the line. We need to be ready in our own communities then to reach out to our fellow conservative friends and say, what do you need financially? Do you need me to babysit your kids because now you can't afford daycare? Let me do a couple days. Let me take them for the weekend. Let you have a date night. How can I help you with groceries? These types of things, conservatives need to be helping each other.
And then we're going to wrap it up. We got to go, but America Fest, get tickets. Coming up next, we got Benny on the block. We'll see you guys. Thanks.
What is the biggest difference between Florida and New York?
In Florida, we have freedom.
What is your message to people in blue states right now, in lockdown states?
Come down to Florida. It's amazing here. It's the only normal state left.
I got in today and I was shocked by, just like my freedoms just quickly changed.
Which state's better?
Oh, Florida, obviously. Listen to this. New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor, great friend of the show, Carol Markowitz, a lifetime New Yorker, is trading in the Big Apple for the Sunshine State.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
Who sets a Christmas tree? Well, I mean, it's just part of the rampant, no city is safe, no person is safe from the subway on down.
There's so many things going wrong in New York City right now.
They don't know how good we have it.
Yeah.
Really, they don't.
Welcome to Tampa, Florida.
one of the fastest growing cities in America, one of the happiest places on earth, actually. Why? Well, I can tell you from personal experience because I live here. Tampa, Florida is awesome. I like it here. It's wonderful. I just moved my family from a blue state to Tampa for the reasons I'm about to show you. We're going to be traveling in this episode also to New York, the state of New York, a tyranny state, a lockdown state. Florida has been open and has been free and has been letting Americans do what they want and live as they please for the entirety of the pandemic. And New York has locked down time and time and time again, like hard lockdowns, like true lockdown.
Okay, we just need to see proof of vaccination and then a valid ID.
Now they're a biosecurity tyranny state where you essentially have to show everyone your papers wherever you want to go in order to get anything that you want to get. It is indeed like true authoritarianism inside of the state of New York. So we're going to spend an hour in Florida.
Life is great. The weather is amazing.
We're going to spend an hour in New York. And we're going to show you the differences. So let's go spend an hour in Florida, Sam. Can't wait to see what people have to say. So, what is life like in Florida right now? I mean, it's almost Christmas. What's life like?
Life is great. I mean, the weather is amazing. We enjoy outdoor activities and dining and going to more Bucks games and everything like that, and conversing with people. So it's really nice.
Has anyone today asked you for your private medical information?
Not yet today, but I'm looking forward to maybe going to a state that will.
That will do that?
Yeah, you know, just to get my rights infringed upon.
Yes, that's right. Everyone loves that. That's what America's all about, just shredding our civil liberties.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No vaccination card, no food. Okay, we just need to see proof of vaccination and then a valid ID. Okay, yep.
That's the rule in New York City. If you can't show restaurants proof that you've been vaccinated, you can't eat indoors.
Watch this, Sam. I'm going to attempt to walk into this store and buy a gourmet popsicle. Let's see how many times I'm asked for my private medical information or am held down and jabbed. No mask. No one asked me for my medical paperwork. Walked right in, not even any signs on the door, and I was able to get myself a delicious mango mojito. Tastes like Florida. Which state's better?
Florida, obviously.
Yeah?
Florida, definitely, 100%.
Well, see, in Florida, it's not criminal to wear a hat like this. It's not criminal to wear the exposed CNN Project Veritas hat. Shout out James O'Keefe. Welcome to New York City, where they burn down their Christmas trees.
Normally during the Christmas season, we start the program by showing an outside shot of our all-American Christmas tree on Fox Square. But last night, shortly after midnight, somebody climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson.
That's right, a homeless man burnt the tree to the ground. You can still see the rubbish. Very sad, but what do you expect here in a city run by Bill de Blasio?
If you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things.
Let's see if we can find some Christmas cheer around the city, Sam. What is the biggest difference between Florida and New York?
In Florida, we have freedom.
And our Christmas trees are not on fire.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
I love it. Our Christmas trees are safe. We can wear our masks. We cannot wear the mask. It's not mandated, and we are tired of being mandated.
Yes. I've been turned away. I have had full vaccination check in New York. You know what's incredible is that if I tried to vote here, it would be racist to check my ID. You've left New York.
I have, yeah. I got out of there. Okay. And I'm lucky to be down there. It's a better state. I got in today and I was shocked by, you know, just like my freedoms just quickly changed. Texas, everything's pretty open. It's been like that for a long time, so.
I'll never want another thing as long as I live. I just want my mother.
We're here at 30 Rockefeller Plaza with the famous Christmas tree behind us. This is where Kevin found his mother in Home Alone 2, you may remember.
Kevin?
The only problem is this year that's not gonna happen because, Kevin's not vaccinated, and so he actually, was never even allowed to come into New York. He got picked up by the sticky bandits, and now they're halfway to Canada.
Yep, one quick score. We get ourselves a couple of phony passports, and we hightail it to some foreign country.
Arizona? Some guy was up there, and I think he was shouting at us. He said, Benny, I'm coming down. I don't know if it's Antifa. I don't know if it's the FBI, but we'll find out. He said, hang on right there. I'm coming down from that nice window up there in the gold-plated building. So we'll see. We'll find out. This is it.
First of all,
was that you yelling at me from up there?
From you. I see the glasses. I said, that looks like Benny Johnson. Then I see the hand movements. I'm like, this is Benny Johnson. I've been yelling at you for like 5 minutes.
So what is the quality of life here in New York right now? We're coming from Florida. The concept is, what's the difference between Florida and New York?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm born and raised in New York, so I love New York, but you overpay to live in a shoebox. You get overtaxed. You have restrictions. You have mandates. It's ridiculous. I mean, de Blasio is the worst thing that ever happened in New York.
What's your message to the leaders of the city? Like, what can they do?
Clean it up, bring back the rule of, not the rule, but the way Giuliani did things in the 90s really brought things back. Even Bloomberg, I mean, you could eat off the floor when those two were in office.
No?
Louis? My tree.
Who sets a Christmas tree on fire?
Standing where once a beautiful Christmas tree was a beautiful template to what a hellhole New York City has become. Their Christmas trees are on fire. Their kids are mandated. They can't even play sports or have a nice life. If you're a 5-year-old, they'll tell you you have to get the jab. Unbelievable. We were kicked out of restaurants today. It's freezing cold, but there are still some patriots in New York. People came down from their offices to say hi to us. It was awesome. But every person we talked to said probably would rather be in Florida.
In Florida, we have freedom.
Especially the Floridians we found up here. Nonetheless, if you're looking for a warm place to go here in New York, you can always find a burning Christmas tree.
It's beginning to look a lot like arson.
That's been Benny on the block. 2 different states, an hour in Florida, an hour in New York. What do you get? We bring you the truth here. Stay warm, America. We love you. Merry Christmas. Hey, it's Benny Johnson here, Turning Point USA's Chief Creative Officer. If you like this video you just watched, be sure to subscribe to the official Turning Point USA channel and never miss an episode. See you guys next week.
Hey there, it's Jon Root. Coming up next on TPUSA Live, tune into the newest episode of POPlitics, where host Alex Clark tells you all about how Don Lemon is in hot water, late night TV rankings tank, a sports recap, and so much more pop culture without the propaganda. Next on POPlitics.
Skim on the rink, a dink, skim on the, wait. Skim on the rink, a dink, skim on the rink. Ooh, I love you. I love you in the morning, in the afternoon. I love you in the evening underneath the moon.
Okay, real talk, it's time to look inside ourselves and be brutally honest. Which one of Alexa Vegas's boys are you? By the way, I have DM'd her several times asking her to please come on the spillover, but I haven't gotten a hold of her yet. If she is someone that you would like me to have on, please tag her in the comments. Let's get her attention. There's something weird going on with people's hearts. What could be causing it? Came out in Jussie Smollett's trial that Don Lemon was giving him tips. The latest data on late night shows proves that wokeism is losing. And then my thoughts on the transgender UPenn swimmer. I'm Alex Clark, and this is POPlitics. Tell me what you think is going on here. It's almost like a riddle. Ready? Up to 300,000 people in the UK are facing heart-related illnesses due to what they're calling post-pandemic stress disorder, or PTSD.
Hey, I doubt it.
Okay. 300,000 people have sudden heart issues because they're all stressed about the pandemic. I mean, I guess that's possible, but could it maybe be due to something else?
Oh, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper.
I don't know. Coming down with a heart issue and then being diagnosed as a tad too stressed by the government feels a little gaslighty to me.
You're very manipulative and conniving, and I don't like it.
Don Lemon, as I like to call him, texted Jussie Smollett a little heads up that Chicago police weren't buying his story after he said that a bunch of MAGA hats and negative 16-degree Chicago weather decided to throw a noose on its neck outside of a subway.
Like, what? What?
Not great timing for CNN since Chris Cuomo was just fired for using his position to get insider information about his brother's case. And now it comes out that Don Lemon Lime was using his position to find insider info on Jussie Smollett's case to warn him.
I don't trust those f***ers.
I guess when you fake that life gives you lemons, you make Don Lemonade? Smells like privilege to me, and it stinks.
Do you smell it? That smell. A kind of smelly smell. A smelly smell that smells smelly.
And in yet another case of wokeism in TV, late night is less interesting than watching paint dry. According to Breitbart, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Jimmy Fallon have seen their ratings plummet for more than 4 months straight as viewers in the coveted 18 to 49-year-old demographic are tuning out consistently compared to last year.
You're not funny and nobody likes you.
Most nights, Gutfeld on Fox News is beating all these progressive clowns. Here's proof that conservatives are just funnier. We've been the punchline for so long that we all know how to make fun of ourselves. These late night hosts have the self-awareness of a fly.
Shoot fly, don't bother me. Shoot fly, don't bother me.
Since I accidentally messed up and did Pop Culture Rewind yesterday, how about Sports Recrap today? Yay, sports! A transgender swimmer at UPenn has been crushing the actual female swimmers in competition. A transgender swimmer at UPenn, so someone that was born biologically a male but has transitioned into being a girl, has been crushing the actual female swimmers in competitions, beating them by 38 freaking seconds.
Happy birthday, Raven!
A man pretending to be a woman to beat real women in their sport is cheating, and anyone who disagrees is just allowing him to do it because they're scared of offending someone. It isn't fair. Was the equal rights movement for nothing?
Watch your tone, watch what you're saying, and don't be that disrespectful about women.
Don't you think it's odd that there aren't any female to male transgender people breaking records in men's sports? Why do you think that is? The truth is, this man is actually the face of the modern day patriarchy. Also interesting, his record-breaking performance in the 500 was 28 seconds slower than the top male in the same race. I could be wrong, but do you think it's at least possible that this kid was a bit salty from losing all the time, so he decided to become a girl to bring himself to the top? I'm brilliant. Shh. Get ready for a brand new episode of The Spillover tonight at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. This was one of those guests that I said to my team, wouldn't it be cool to have someone on the show who does this for a living? Any guesses what it might be? Tell me! Here's an idea. Try turning your notifications on for our post to see if that helps you see the episodes more. Tap the heart button, tell Alexa Vega that we want to have her on The Spillover in the comments. DM this episode to someone you know who plays high school or college sports. Ask them what they think of that transgender swimmer and hit the save button. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is POPlitics. Support POPlitics, the first ever conservative pop culture daily show, by subscribing to our channel, turning on notifications, and of course, hitting the thumbs up. Also, our main home is on Instagram. Seriously, just trust me, that's where the real magic happens. Follow us there at POPlitics.